Getting to be about time to start. Just going to get my slides organized. Make sure I know what I'm going to say. Thank you so much for joining us today. Well, hello everybody out there in internet land. Welcome to the first lecture for COMP1720 6720 here at the Australian National University. Of course, this is an online class, but I'm really excited for those of you who are joining me live, watching this live streamed lecture here on YouTube, on Microsoft Teams, or on Twitch. Oh, I think I'm missing a live component, which is some nice lighting. Just make sure I've got that running. I think that does improve things a little bit. Yes, thank you so much for joining me. The way we're doing this is streaming the lectures live at the correct times each week. So there's a lecture on Wednesdays and a lecture on Friday afternoons. Someone has just asked in the chat if these videos will be kept on YouTube or Echo 360. They will be kept on YouTube, they will be kept on Echo 360, they will be kept on Microsoft Stream, so you can always access them in Teams later on. So really we are giving you as many chances as possible to keep up with the material and keep up with lectures. So I'm not going to say much else except get right into this lecture and join in with everybody who is joining. Well, there's some people starting a meeting by themselves in the Microsoft Teams. That's not how you do it. What I'm really expecting you to do is to be going and pressing start on this lecture video in the lectures tab, which if you aren't in the lectures tab, you won't be able to see this, but oh well. You'll be here and you can start watching this COMP1720 Week 1A video where there's 44 people watching it right now. And once you're watching that, if you're in the general channel, you can be chatting with me, or you can also chat with me, either in the general channel or in the lectures tab, you can see a way to chat with me. Let's get into it. So first of all, before we start any lecture at the ANU or a new course, it's a really important thing to acknowledge where we are and the people who have been living on this land for thousands of years before we started the Australian National University here. So I just want to say that we acknowledge and celebrate the first Australians on whose traditional lands we meet, and I want to pay respects to elders past, present and emerging in this wonderful place, which is Canberra and where the ANU campus is located. A little bit about introductions. I'll make myself small. A little bit of introductions. My name is Charles Martin. I'm the lecturer for this course, the course convener for COMP1720. I'm a computer musician and a music technology researcher and a computer scientist. So I've been working in projects between art and code for about 15 years now in different ways. Sometimes I'm making computer music, performing on computers. Sometimes I've been making more visual works, to working with different kinds of artists. Sometimes I've worked in theatre and I've performed and used computer tools to make art all around the world. I studied here at the ANU as an undergraduate and I've been back and forth between the ANU and various places for quite a few years now. Recently I started working here at the Research School of Computer Science as a lecturer in computer science. And I'm really passionate about making connections between coding, computing, and artistic creation. So I'm finding new ways to do creative computing. I'm really excited to be working with everybody in this course because I not only really love making art with code, but I love teaching other people how to do it and seeing other people go on their own creative computing journey. So I think this is going to be a really exciting course for me, as well as for many of you. Another note, this is actually the first time that I've taught this course. So although I've actually been involved in some parts of this course in previous years, maybe a few years ago, I wrote a lecture and delivered one as part of the music module. We do a bit later, but I haven't actually been in the course for a few years, and things are a little bit different. So I'll probably tell you about some parts that I'm confused about. I might be going on this journey with creative coding along with you a few times because have to remind myself how to do certain things. But I'm really excited to be here and lecturing this course for the first time. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, both for me and for you. Now, I'm not the only lecturer in this course. We actually have another lecturer whose name is Tony Curran. And you won't see Tony today. I'm just lecturing myself on Wednesdays, and Tony is going to give you a lecture from the artistic side on Fridays. So Tony is actually a lecturer at the School of Art and Design here at the ANU. He teaches several different courses there and tutors there, and now he's going to be giving us one lecture each week all about some of the basics of art theory and how we can use this theory in our creative coding adventures. So I'm really excited to see Tony's lectures as well, and I think you're going to really enjoy those. So now I see there are people chatting on Teams. I just want to take a moment and make sure that people know what they're doing. I know that there's quite a few people watching the videos right now, and it would be great if a few of you who jumped in just said hi on Teams or just put a react in the reply box, just so we know you're there and so we know there's a little bit of interaction. Often when we do this course in person, I would get everybody in the lecture theatre to maybe talk to each other or have a bit of a discussion about what they're nervous about doing in this kind of course, what would be exciting, and perhaps the reasons they're taking this course. That might be something we can do on the discourse forum as well for the course later this week as we're getting through the material. So if you're there in the forum, in the chat on Teams, jump in now, just say hi so we know that you're listening. Hey, there's somebody. Julian's there, Emily's there. Yeah, wonderful to see people jumping into the chat. So today's the intro lecture. One of the things today is kind of to learn how we're going to learn in COMP1720, right? Now, each of these lectures is kind of set up like a story. So there's going to be common elements to each lecture for you to get through. The synopsis of this story might be something like this. First of all, in each lecture, we'll do some admin information, right? Go through what's happening in assignments, what you have to worry about that week. Make sure that you have the critical information right up front. Then in each lecture in the course, we'll be doing a bit of a story or an analogy or a meme maybe that kind of makes a point about the topic of this week or your main concern of this week. And this week the story is called Painting Like a 5-Year-Old. So I'll tell you that story in a little bit, but we don't have to worry about it right now. Then after the story, there's going to be a kind of code theory section, and that's my specialty. So I'm going to be concerned in this course in particular, in teaching you, in what you have to do in this coding language called p5.js to make the art that you've got in your head. Okay, so that's my job, is to help you with that. There's another part of this story which is art theory. This used to be all in the same lecture, but we've taken the art theory out, given that to Tony. He'll be talking to you about that on Fridays for a whole lecture. Tony's job is, I guess, if my job's to help you figure out how to get the art in your head into code, Tony's job is to figure out how to get the art into your head in the first place and maybe look at what you've coded up and turn it from something that you think is just a sketch into something which is really artistic, something which you can be really proud of. So he's going to tell you a lot of great stuff in those lectures. We'll do a bit of praxis in each lecture. So there's theory and praxis. Theory is like just the theoretical stuff, just the thinking part. Praxis is where we're going to do it. So I'll be doing live coding demos in all of my lectures. And then we'll have some kind of finale or denouement that brings everything at the end of this story together, right? The conclusion of the story. Today's conclusion is like, yeah, get psyched, we're doing this course, it's going to be super fun. So I don't think that it's something that is too much of a worry today. You're hopefully psyched already and all sitting there super excited to go ahead and start making some art with code. start doing some coding with art as well. All of these slides will be on the website. Actually, these slides are a website, so it's sort of a course about making this kind of interactive code website. You'll be using a website to look at the slides as well. You can use some buttons to check them out. We've got arrow keys or space to move forwards. There's also some little buttons down here in the bottom right. You can't quite see that. You can go to an overview mode with O. You can go to full screen mode, which I'm in right now. Also, which might be useful, if you press C, you can get a little scribble marker. Oh, it doesn't actually work in full screen. There's a problem. So I can just draw on the slides. Oh, it doesn't work at all now. What's going on? Come on, it was working before. Reload it, see if that helps. Oh, there we go, scribbling on the slides with C. There's also a kind of blackboard mode, which I'll use sometimes. Oh, that doesn't work either, come on. What is going on with my slides? Oh well, we get one thing at a time, I suppose. We got a few issues with the website, which we're just hacking together this week because we upgraded a lot of the libraries that put our website together, and some things went a little bit wrong. So careful when you update. Slides should be easy. I know there are people out there who want PDFs. We will get you PDFs of all of the presentations, but we'll get them to you after each lecture. So it takes a little while to turn this website into a PDF slide deck. It's not, I can't just do save as, unfortunately. So it just takes a little while after each lecture to get that happening. Now, the admin part of the lecture. Open your ears because this is important stuff. This is where I'm going to lay out for you the whole plan for the whole course. Lectures for this course. You're already here. So however you've figured out how to watch lectures, whether it's YouTube, Microsoft Stream, Echo 360, or watching it live with me on Teams, you've made it. So well done. The online lectures are going to be at 2 p.m. on Wednesdays. That'll be me. 3 p.m. on Fridays. That's Tony. These will be streamed on Teams, and we're calling Teams like the primary platform for live parts of the course, whether it's a live lecture, that's Teams. Live lab, Teams. We also have some videos that are on the website, on the lectures page. You can go check out these videos that the previous lecturer to this course, who was Ben Swift at the Research School of Computer Science, has made a series of lectures called COMP1720 Inside the Artist Studio. They're really interesting. There's something which I think you might find more interesting a bit later in the course when you want to get some really detailed inspiration for how to work on your assignments. We will also have all of our slides and recordings on the website. As I said, there's information on that page. You can click this link and get there. And there's also a lot of information about recordings on the FAQ. But now that you're here, I think you know how this is going to work. Now, labs in this course are online. Right now at the ANU, in computing, we don't have capacity to do in-person labs. It's just not possible, and it's given the current restrictions for physical distancing. Labs are still going to be a thing. We're doing labs on Teams. I taught a course last semester called COMP1720. We did labs on Teams for the whole semester, and it works. So it's going to be great. You're going to have fun. You're going to meet people in your labs. You're going to talk to your tutors. You're going to have all your problems solved. So don't worry about the labs online. The main thing that you have to worry about for labs online is to make sure that you actually attend them. Okay? You are strongly encouraged to attend your weekly lab session. The sign-up's open. It's been open since Monday. We've still got space in labs for everybody in the course. No one will go without a space. But make sure you get onto the sign-up website, which is cs.anu.edu.au/streams. That's our sign-up system to enroll in a lab if you haven't already. In each lab, you're going to get a new set of exercises to work through. There will be art and code challenges. They're going to give you the skills that you need to tackle your assignments and the major project in this course. Now, there's one other really important thing we do in labs, which is this thing called the visual diary. Visual diary is an assessment item in this course, and it's actually marked in your lab session. So the main reason for you to go to labs sometimes is to get your visual diary marked, because if you don't attend the lab, you won't get a mark for the visual diary. It's really important just to say that right now. Wow, a lot of highs. Hello. I'm just jumping down my conversation now. Someone's just asked me whether they can use the CSIT lab. I know that I'm not sure right now. I haven't got any information. I thought that there was a plan working out to enable you to use a CSIT lab just by yourself, like students can go in there and work on the computers. I'm not sure what the status of that is right now, so I'm not going to say anything else. Apparently yesterday someone told me they went into the labs and started working and that was fine, but the last time I was walking through the labs, everything was closed and you weren't allowed to enter them. So if you go to the CSIT labs and there's a sign on the door which says labs are closed, do not enter, the labs are closed. I'm really serious about that. We have only closed the buildings if we have a good reason, and I really expect everyone in this class to respect the rules. If there's tape across a door and it says don't go in, don't go in. Okay, cool. There's some discussion about how to access the lectures tab. I'll let those of you who have figured it out possibly find out how to do that. Oh, someone's just asked some more questions about labs. How do you find out who your tutor is? Well, now that everyone is signing up on streams, we will assign you to a lab group. Labs are starting next week, and your tutors will introduce themselves in each lab channel. So on Microsoft Teams right now, we only have a channel for drop-in sessions. There'll be a separate channel for each lab. So if you're Monday 11 a.m., you'll get a lab channel called Monday 11 a.m. And the first thing that will happen is that your two tutors will drop in there and introduce themselves, and you can chat to them during your lab session. So the main thing to do is just to go to your first lab session and everything will be obvious once you get there, okay? So you just have to take my word for it so far. Oh, someone solved this problem for that student. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Now, two things are going to happen in this course, I guess. We're building you up with different skills, adding to your coding skills, perhaps. If you haven't started coding before, we're perhaps building up your art theory skills so that you know how to make an artistic judgment in creating an artwork. And we're already also breaking things down. So maybe you've gone along by yourself in coding, and we need to pack in a bit more information. In that case, we're going to break down what you're thinking about with your coding. This is a great course to be packing in some more experience and practice with coding if you've been doing it for a while. Maybe you think you know what you want to make in this course right now, and what I'm going to tell you is that we're going to break down that barrier, or we're going to break down your views about what you want to make, because you'll learn a lot about art theory, you'll learn a lot about what art actually is and can be in this course, and I want you to expand your minds about the kind of things you can create. That goes for everybody in this course, no matter how much art you've made in the past. I think you're going to make something great that you never would have thought you could make before in this course. So, one info slide. I think everyone now knows that the week 1 lab content, putting a circle on the internet, is something for you to do at home ASAP. I know there are people getting stuck with this assignment, with this lab. That's okay. In some ways, that's the point. The idea with week 1 lab is for you to get stuck now and get the help you need so that you don't get stuck for the rest of the course. Mainly people getting stuck with this git clone business, but it's not a huge deal. Often when the tutors see it, they can help you straight away. We've got one last drop-in lab session. Actually, that's the wrong information. It's on Friday from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock before the lecture on Friday. That'll be on Microsoft Teams in the drop-in lab channel. The tutors will be there to help you with it. So if you've got issues with lab 1, make sure you try it today, and then you can bring your problems to the tutors on Friday. If you can't get the tutors to help you on Friday, ask on Discourse, right? That's the place where there's many students there to help you, many tutors are checking that as well, and you'll get your problem solved. Now, this is maybe a serious slide, okay? I said do week 1 lab as soon as possible. I really, really mean it, because it's crucial in this course to get on top of the technical details, installing the software on your computer, looking at labs, uploading labs, sending things back onto this GitLab server that we use in this class. It's really, really important to get on top of this stuff now. This is the way that you submit all of your assignments and your major project in this course. If you're unable to use Git, you won't be able to do those things. Okay, so it's really, really crucial you get this fixed now, get on top of it. Okay, deliverables, and by that I mean assignments, what you're going to do to get marks. The first deliverable is this thing called the visual diary. Okay, and this is worth 12.5%. So a visual diary is a way for artists to keep track of ideas and notes to use in your projects. That's the same as we do it in this course. The way this works is that each week that you do it, you'll get 1.25 marks per week. That gets marked in your lab. So in total, it's worth 12.5 marks. Now there's 10 opportunities to get this marked from weeks 2 to 11, 10 different labs. And actually what we do is that the worst 2 of these are redeemable. So suppose you have complete nightmare of a week and you can't do your visual diary, you get 0 for a week. That's fine. That 1 week you'll get the average of your other marks for it. The point of this is to make sure that you're engaged with the course each week, you're going to your labs and you're talking to your tutors. But I do expect you to do some work in your visual diary. If we just go and have a look at how this is set out on the website, you can see that we have quite a bit of information about what to do. You're going to go onto the 1720 forum on Discourse. You're going to find the 1720 visual diary subcategory. You're going to make a topic and post your visual diary there. In each week, you're going to select 3 artworks to include and discuss in your diary entry. These could be things that you make, or it could be things that other artists have made. You're going to write 100 or 200 words about each of these works, just a couple of sentences telling us what they're about and what makes them interesting to you. And then you're also going to interact with your fellow students by making some comments on other students' visual diary entries. Now, I guess I should say one more thing about the way visual diaries are marked. For the important information, make sure you read this page completely. But visual diaries are marked in your lab, and they actually need to be done before your lab starts. So if your lab has started and you're still trying to add things on Discourse for your visual diary, that's too late. You won't get marked for that part. The point of this is stuff for you to do before the lab, and we're really serious about that deadline. So make sure that you're organized, you do your visual diary, the weekend before everyone can be working on the weekend, getting their visual diary up to scratch, choosing a few artworks and discussing them. That's not too much work, really. The main point is for you to be engaged every week and doing this regular practice work so that you develop your skills. Okay, back to... Well, I've talked about diaries as well. Why do we keep diaries? Well, I guess the point of a diary is that coming up with good ideas is hard. So if every week you're having to come up with a small number of ideas, maybe over the whole semester you'll come up with some really good ones that will be something that you can use in your major project. For me, in this course, I'm actually doing my practice as well. So I'm creating little artworks with P5 to show off to you. You might have noticed the intro to my lecture today was this cool vaporwave thing. I made that last night, trying to remember how to do some stuff in P5. And I'll be doing something like that all through this semester. So we're all going to be learning together and creating new good ideas. Important information, first visual diary is due next week. So you need to make sure you get it done this weekend before your lab next week. Now, assignments is another big part of this course. There are 3 assignments in total. Each assignment is worth 12.5 marks. All of the assignments are submitted through GitLab using the same process as you did Lab 1. So you've all forked Lab 1, cloned it, edited it, and then committed it and pushed it back to the server. That's how you'll be submitting your assignments, okay? That's the only way we submit assignments. You need to get on top of Git because if students email me zip files of their code, 2 minutes before the assignment is due, I'm not going to mark it. We just have a policy about this, that we only accept assignments submitted in the one single way that we provide for you. There are so many students in this class that if everyone emailed me their assignment in a panic, it's just going to be crazy. So we can't handle that. We have to go through the GitLab system. Each of these assignments involves creating a different interactive artwork using p5.js. And they're actually, I don't think that they're huge assignments, right? The first one is actually available right now. It's already available. Your job there is to make a name tag, and it's going to be due in the Monday of week 4. I think that's the correct day for it. I feel now like I've updated half the dates in these and I've forgotten with the other half. Week 2, week 3, week 4. Yeah, it's Monday 17th of August is the Monday of week 4. So that's pretty soon. But that's okay, because I think by the time you do lab 1 and lab 2 and lab 3, you'll have all the tools you need to do this assignment. In fact, probably just the week 1 and week 2 lab work will be enough for you. And you'll have a great time making a simple name tag for us to mark. So you'll have broken into this course's assessment pretty early in COMP1720. Now, half of the assessment for this course is actually your major project. That's a big assignment for you. So this project is something you'll be working on for week 10 or week 9, week 10, week 11, and week 12. 4 weeks of this course you'll have to work on this big assignment if you don't want to start earlier. We'll talk a little bit more about this next week, but it's something which we put a lot of effort into helping you to prepare for it. You'll get chances in your labs to talk with your tutors about what you're planning and improve your ideas and develop something that you can be really proud of. We want people to be proud of this because during the exam period, we actually have an online exhibition of everybody's major project. So I hope you make something which you can be proud of and that you really are excited about showing other people. So that's the goal with this, to make artworks that you want to show off. The theme will be announced next week. We'll talk more about it then. I guess one thing is missing here. Exams. Are there any exams in this course? No, we do not have exams in this course. Last year there was an exam. This year there is not. Okay, we've got 3 assignments, a major project, and a visual diary every week. There's plenty of work there for this course for you to learn a lot about making art with code. I don't need to use an exam to give you more assessment right now. I think that that's going to be enough. Now, really important thing is the COMP1720 forum. I know everyone's sitting there on Teams and there's a lot of people saying hello to me, which is wonderful. Thank you all for watching. But you do need to get yourself familiar with the forum, which I've got in this other tab. The forum is where you're going to go to ask a question if it's the middle of the night, you don't know how to clone something, or you've gotten stuck in an assignment and you need answers from other students or teachers. In fact, if you've got any issue with this course, your first and best and quickest place to get help is the discourse forum, okay? If you send me an email saying, I don't know how to clone my assignment, my answer will be, sorry, I don't answer questions over email like that, take it to the forum. There's a few people who've gotten emails like that already. Sorry for you to be the test subjects for that policy, but this is how it works in this course. If you ask on the forum, not only will you get help faster, because either me, one of our 6 tutors, or one of the other 150 students in this course will answer your question, but when the answer is there on the forum, other people can benefit from it too. So someone was asking about the PDF slides, and I gave them an answer very quickly. And now everyone who worried about the PDF slides can see that answer as well. So thank you to that student who asked me that great question, because then I can discuss it with the whole class. There's an important consideration with the forum that we expect your behavior to be good. That goes for all of your interactions in this course. The short version of the code of conduct is be excellent to each other. I think that it goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway, that any form of harassment is absolutely forbidden in this course and will be dealt with appropriately. So we expect you to be inclusive, to treat your fellow students with respect, and hopefully to be friendly as well, as a bonus, because it's more fun to do this stuff when everyone is friendly to each other, when we're working as a team, than when people are sort of antagonistic. Importantly, don't go to Wattle. The only thing you'll see on Wattle is a message saying go to the course website. You can go to Echo 360 through Wattle if you want to, but we're not using it for this course. Ooh, just take a sip of water. When I'm yelling at the screen like this for a few minutes, I start to get a sore throat, or a bit of a cough. I'm going to say this really quickly, but at every course, in all of your behavior at the ANU, we expect you to uphold the highest standards of academic integrity. That means if you're using a source in your code, you need to cite that source. So in particular, we find with this course, COMP1720, there are occasions where students find some cool bit of example code on the internet, and they think, oh, maybe I could just borrow a bit of that for my assignment. Now, in some cases, that's sort of fine, as long as you're very clear about which bits of code you haven't written and where you got them and what license that you're using them under. So we've got a course policy about this. It's something which we'll talk about more when we get closer to finishing your assignment. But just know, if you think that you can get around this rule, maybe copying someone's assignment for last year, copying a friend's code without citing where you got it from, we will find out, and unfortunately we'll be having a meeting about that, and you won't get marks for your assessment. So you have to be really, really careful to make sure that you do use citations to let us know where you got anything from if you haven't created it yourself. That goes for, text from Wikipedia, images from the internet, and bits of code that you might be using. And all of our assignments are individual. I think it's fine to discuss these things with your friends, but working together with other students to produce an individual task is not something which we can accept. So you have to be doing your work by yourself, and you'll really only get marks for the bits of work that you've done. So if you're including other stuff in your assignment that someone else has created, even if you cite that, I'm not going to give you marks for work that you haven't done yourself. So that's something to keep discussing as we go through our assignments, but I think that for the time being, I'll just leave it at that. Someone's asked, do I own the copyright of my work for your major assignment, or does ANU own it? The answer is that you own the copyright for it. You always own the copyright for your assignments, and you certainly are welcome to use that in your portfolio. As an important one. Yeah. So, pop quiz. Where do I find my assessment timeline? Or where do I find the lecture slides? Or where do I find the lab content? Or where do I know what to do if there's late submission or need an extension or an academic misconduct case? Where are these policies? There is one answer to all of these questions. That answer is the course website, cs.anu.edu.au/courses/comp1720. Get on that website and have a bit of an explore to see all of this information about the course. We actually have loads of information on this website, and sometimes it actually feels like too much information. But if you need to know an important policy, like about extensions or lateness or code of conduct, have a look at the policies page, a lot of stuff there. If you're gotten stuck with something in the course, maybe to do with Git, or you don't know what kind of computer you need for this course, look on the FAQ page. That's where we've got frequently asked questions. If you'd like some other resources to check out in this course, look on books, links, and other good things. And there's one other little thing I'm going to just tell you about right now. One of our amazing and wonderful tutors, Harrison, is doing some research in how students learn programming with p5.js. And he's running a study where when you run into trouble in your coding, you can record your error and have that sent and included in part of his research. So he's working on this system called Ducky. There's a resource page about it, which I'll put on the discourse and on Teams later. But it's something I'd really like you to consider. It would help Harrison a lot by knowing about your errors, and it would also help us to help teach you better by knowing where you run into trouble. Okay, we're only halfway through and we're running out of time. Well, not really running out of time, but we're getting through this lecture anyway. A few moments to talk about expectations. You can expect from us to communicate with you as per the communications policy. That means if you want to ask us a question, go to the forum. If you ask for help ahead of time, we'll be there for you. And if you need help in realizing your artistic vision, we're there to support you, particularly for the major project. If you're sitting there nervous about what kind of project you're going to be, don't be nervous. We've taught hundreds of students this course, hundreds of students. And many of them have been nervous about what they're going to do in their major project. And many of them have found over the course of this series of lectures, exercises, and assignments that they find the most wonderful, amazing, exciting ideas. So don't be nervous about it. You just have to trust us that you can do it, and we will support you in realizing your vision. What we expect from you is to engage early in this course, right? Don't leave until week 10 to jump in and start things. I expect you to build things because you want to do it, not because you have to. So with the assignments, sometimes students look at assignments like a to-do list. Check, 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 get everything done. I want you to look at the assignments as an opportunity to express yourself and make something you want to. I really, really expect you to attend labs. So the tutors are there for you in your labs. You will get one-on-one times with your tutors to discuss things if you need it. And you'll be there able to be helped by other students in groups during your labs as well. So there's people asking questions right in the forum. So I'm not in the Teams chat, so I'm not going to stop right here. I might sip my water again, actually. A little sip of water. Now, I see some more answers going on the Teams chat. That's great. We're going to move into talking about code in a minute. But what's the deal with art and code? How do these things work together? Well, this is probably a quote you'll hear a few times in this course, but it's a quote from Peter Lee, head of Microsoft Research, who said, "If you look around at the world and where technological surprises are happening, one place is the art world, where people are creating new experiences." Art and code do go together really, really well. It's something which I'm super passionate about. Nothing makes me happier than using code, using computing to create a new artwork or a new artistic experience, and then seeing people engage with that. It's just the most wonderful feeling. It's really exciting, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how you work with this. The big picture in this course is that it's not either code or art, it's both code and art. And that's why in this class, we have both computer science students, we have art students from the School of Art and Design here at the ANU, we have music students, we have students from commerce and business, we have students from Bachelor of Arts, we've got students from Bachelor of Science. It's a course for everybody because we're not just catering for one audience. Now, to get the top marks in this course, really high marks, you're going to have to engage with both art aspects and code aspects. But I don't want you to pigeonhole yourself at this point, right? I don't want you to say, oh, I'm a code person, I'm just going to leave the art by the wayside. Don't say, I'm just an art person, I just need to get the bare minimum code to get this working. Engaging with both is the best strategy, and I think you'll surprise yourself with how you can create new work in this course. So what are we going to cover? We're covering how to make visuals. We'll be covering making sound in P5.js. We'll be covering making interactions, interactive artworks, and we'll be doing a lot of work about learning the tools. That's Git and VS Code. Those are the tools. That's worth the effort, even though it's a bit tough in week one. There'll also be a lot of work in conceptualizing an artwork in this course. So all of these things are really important. There is stuff in this course that we don't cover. So basically anything else to do with the web or JavaScript in this course, we're not covering. So there's no CSS, no document object model, no events or callbacks, no WebGL, no video, no backend stuff, no HTTP, none of that, okay? We're really focused on what you can do with P5.js and how you can use that environment to create amazing artworks. You're welcome to extend your knowledge though if you want to, read around on your own. Okay, here's the story. We're finally here. So, painting like a 5-year-old. How's this story work? Well, imagine that you are you and you have a 5-year-old next to you, and you'd like your 5-year-old to go and please paint a, copy of the Mona Lisa. And that 5-year-old is going to look at you like you have two heads, because 5-year-olds in general do not have the skills to paint the Mona Lisa. In fact, 5-year-olds probably don't know what the Mona Lisa is. And what you have to do if you want a 5-year-old to paint something is to break it down into a language that they can understand and perhaps some very clear instructions. So maybe you could get a 5-year-old to paint something quite complicated, maybe not the Mona Lisa, but something complicated, if you give them a paintbrush and you say, okay, paint from here to here on the wall and just go down and then paint across and go like that, and then paint up and go like that, and then paint to the left and go like that, and then they would have painted a square. And then you can keep going with these simple instructions telling them what to do. I think I even remember like my mum giving me like a lesson in like how to draw an animal. I was trying to draw a horse or something and I couldn't do it when I was a little kid. And she's like, okay, start with a square and then now draw 4 little lines going down and then draw like this other square for the head, and then you've got the start of an animal. And I was like, that wasn't really what I was thinking, but okay, I'll go with this plan. So this is the story, right? How to paint like a 5-year-old. Now, the reason I'm telling you this story is that this is how you have to get your computer to paint for you. This is a lot of what we're doing in this course in p5.js, is teaching the computer how to paint. So this is the code theory part. Little glossary. I'm going to say a lot of words to you, and if you haven't been studying the website deeply, you might not know what some of these words mean. Here's an important one, p5.js. I've said that about 20 times already today. What is even p5.js? Well, it's a JavaScript library for making interactive code art. It provides you this nice environment where you can do artistic things and you get a lot of the important tools ready to hand. So it's like your little artist studio. But okay, well, what's JavaScript or JS? Well, JavaScript's something different. It's a language, programming language, which runs in web browsers. And it's the language which p5.js is written in and that you write to access the tools within p5.js. All right, what's a sketch then? Well, in p5.js, each of our drawings or artworks is something we call a sketch. So we have that word sketch, taking that from art and putting that into computer programming where you kind of sketch out a program. Well, what's a browser? I'm going to assume you know what a web browser is. You probably have Firefox or Chrome or Safari or maybe Edge if you're on Windows. And then final glossary is what's an editor? Well, an editor is a program for writing code. In this course, we use VS Code. You can use any editor you want as long as it's VS Code. Haha. We do encourage you to use VS Code because we provide a little extension pack that helps you out with your p5.js coding. And I'll show you how that works today, although you've probably already done Lab 1 and you know. So what's the difference between p5.js and JavaScript? Well, the JavaScript is this whole programming language, and p5 is a library that works in that language. So it's a bunch of code written by another person or a group of people that provides some tools for you to do a specific task. And in our case, the task is creating artworks. So I might say p5.js, I might say a lot of things. I always mean p5 or p5.js, even if I say p5. Even if I say processing, which is a different system altogether, but very similar, then I also mean p5.js. So we used to teach this course in processing, so that's where I get confused. Now, your most important thing you can ever look at if you're confused and stuck is this thing called the reference, p5js.org/reference. This is your most important resource because it tells you the names of all the tools you have to use in this class. What can you do? I want to draw a square. How do I do it? The answer is in this list. I want to do colors. How do I do that? In this list. I want to draw a circle. I want to make a big shape. I want to have an animation. It's all in this list. So this is a list of all the tools you've got, and it provides you enough tools to create amazing creative artworks in this course. So really seriously, go read the reference if you get stuck or you just want to explore. Few key concepts. So in this course, we're going to be creating art with code, and really we're going to be painting a lot of the time, doing digital painting. So a P5 sketch is this kind of digital canvas where you're drawing lines, shapes, and other stuff. And you can apply colors to your paintbrush, right, as you're moving that across the screen and filling out or doing the edges of these shapes. So it's all about this kind of layers of painting. And the order of painting matters, right? If you imagine painting on a wall, if you paint the wall red and then you draw a black box, you get a black box on a red wall. If you draw a black box on the wall, then paint the wall red, you'll just get a red wall and the black box disappears. So you've got to make sure you have the order right within your code. Another key concept is this idea of a grid of pixels, right? So when you're in P5, every point on the screen has a number, right? Just like this grid, a number grid like you might have done in high school. Now, the high school version of using numbers in 2D, where's my drawing tools? They keep disappearing. The high school version of that, you've got the number line, right? Going right, going left. I don't know why the Y is there. I suppose that means up and down. X means left, right. So if you wanted 0.11 in a grid, right, you'd go to this one. That's the high school version. If you wanted 0.21, the first of the 2 points, right, 2, 1, first of the 2 points would be the x-axis or horizontal, go out 2 to the right, and then go up 1. Now, that works for high school, but whoops, I'm here to tell you today that in computer graphics, we often work a little bit differently. On the computer, the top left-hand corner of your screen is going to be 0, 0, x 0 out and 0 down. And then if I go to 0.21, I'll go out 2 and then down 1. So even though you might be thinking of y as like increasing upwards, in computer graphics it increases downwards because we start at the top of the screen. So that's all there is to that. But you have to, I guess, as you're getting started with this painting stuff, digital canvas stuff in COMP1720, you do have to start thinking about your screen as a big grid of numbers, right? Where each number might be like 1 pixel on your screen. And you can sort of think of it as this like big city grid. So that's something that you'll work on conceptualizing in your lab exercises. We'll have a bit of a play with it in a minute in P5. But just keep an eye on that concept of the grid of pixels. Another important concept to start with, colors. How do you represent colors in a computer? Some of you might know, but just to be clear about it, in P5 we specify colors by splitting it out into components, right? We might call it the RGB components, or red, green, and blue. And each of those components is going to be represented by a number between 0, which means like there's none of that color in it, and 255. So it's completely fully turned on. Why is 255 the maximum and not 1,000 or 1 or 100 or 1,000,000 or anything else? I don't know. There's good reasons in the way that things are designed like that in computers. They're very complicated actually and have some historical reasons, but you just have to know that 255 is the maximum and 0 is the minimum. The normal color mixing things apply. If you want yellow, you're going to have to turn up red. turn up green and leave blue at the bottom, then you get yellow. You can also make your colors transparent. So actually we can have 4 components, red, green, blue, and the amount of transparency, where if it's 255, then that color is fully turned on. If it's only 127, then it's like half see-through, you can see through it. If it's 0, then it's completely invisible. No matter what color it is, it won't show up on the screen. And there's some other ways of representing colors like hue, saturation, and brightness, but we won't go into those right now. At the moment, we're going to be talking about RGB, or RGBA for alpha transparency. And then the other thing with P5.js is, unfortunately, this is one of these things about computing. Your JavaScript and P5 environment only understands certain instructions or commands. So the question is, how do you know what those commands are? Does anyone know the answer? I probably have told you already, and you can probably remember the reference, right? If you want to know how to do something in P5, look at the reference, because it's got all the things you can say to P5 to make it do something that it will understand. A little word of warning here, if you're used to spelling in Australian or British spelling, the P5 uses US spelling, so there's no U in color, which is a big sad-faced moment. But that's not so bad. Now, we're talking a little bit about commands and functions. Actually, forget this. I want to do it in P5. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. We're going to do a few things over here in P5. Whoop. I close my window. Yeah, so I've got my lab 1 here. You might have done lab 1. The exciting thing about lab 1 is that it's really easy, okay? And the main hard bit about lab 1 is actually getting access to lab 1. Once you've got the files and got VS Code open, it's actually very easy to get it finished. So I've got lab 1, and the idea was to create this sketch where we're going to draw a circle on the internet or in a web browser. Now I'm going to make this screen a little bit bigger so you can see what I'm doing. Move that over here. Move this over here. I've got both sides now. Close that down a bit so you can really see. Cool. Now, how did we make this circle? Let's break it down a little bit. In this area called draw, this thing, and there's these 2 brackets, and then there's some important code here. And then within this code, there's these 2 important words, background and ellipse. And each of those words is kind of like a command or an instruction that P5 will understand. And actually in JavaScript world, we call those each a function, right? They're a command that your computer understands to do a task. So as part of P5, someone else, another programmer, has set up a function called background. And then you can use that, giving it a number, in this case 30, and that makes the background this sort of gray color. If I want the background to be white, I can change that to 255, and if I save my code, the background becomes white. If I want my background to be red, I can put in 3 numbers here. So I can give it RGB, and now I can have a red background. So this idea of a function is the same as a command, or you can think of it as a command for you to tell your computer to do something. The next command is ellipse, which, surprise, surprise, is going to tell the computer to draw a circle or a circle-ish thing. And it tells it to start from the point 200, 200. Think of the grid, right? We go out 200, which is not very far, and then down 200, and then we make the width, and I think that goes to there from the center. Then we make the width and height of our circle also 200. So it's going to go out 200, down 200, and then draw a circle 200 wide and 200 high. So now we've got there's 2 kind of things. I mean, what I'm talking about is the syntax of this programming language. One thing is functions, so we're telling the computer what to do, giving it a command. And then the other thing is these numbers in here. And these are called parameters. So they're telling our computer how to do what we've asked them to. So this is the what should the computer be doing, and this is how should it be doing it. So color in the background, fine. That's not enough information. What color do you want? I want red, so I put red in here, 25500 for a color. I want a circle. Draw a circle, right? Not enough information. Where should I draw the circle? Oh, okay, start at point 200 x and 200 y and make the circle 200 wide and 200 high. Okay, now we can do it. So now if we want to change this artwork, we can start changing the numbers here. So maybe we wanted to make a really wide circle. We can make it 400. Now it'll certainly be an ellipse, still 200 high. Now we've got a wide circle. Someone's just discovered that the lecture slide has photos from Unsplash, which is true, a great source of free photos, which you can use in your artwork as long as you cite the license in your assignment. We can make a much narrower circle by making that smaller. We can move it out further if you want. Every time I press Control S, I'm just saving the JavaScript file and then the browser reloads it. Okay, so now, what if I have to, well, what about my circle? I've got a problem here, which is that my circle is like white with a black border, and I don't want that. I want some other way of drawing a circle. So I really should perhaps give my computer some more information about how to do it. And sometimes in P5, you can give it all of the how information as parameters to the function. But sometimes you've got to give it some other functions. And in fact, the function I want here is one called fill. I'm just going to look up, just to help myself with fill, I might go and look up how to do it, because I might have forgotten, right? There's fill in the reference. So what does fill do? It's probably going to say down here. It's got 3 parameters. That could be the numbers for RGB or hue, saturation, brightness. Oh, it's going to set the color used to fill shapes. So you can tell P5 to draw a circle, but you have to, if you want it to be a certain color, you have to have kind of given P5 the brush to start with, right? So there's 2 steps to this. So fill, and maybe I want a yellow circle. So I'll mix R and G, mix red and green, and do that. There's my other browser window, there it is. Now I get a yellow circle. I want a blue circle. There you go, blue circle. So we can start to give P5 these tools to draw certain things. I might actually teach you one other thing. If you look really closely, the circle actually has a black kind of edge. It's easy to see when it's white. There you go, you can see it's got a little black edge there. I can change its color by using this stroke command. So now I've given it a white edge and a white fill. So stroke refers to the color of the edge of a shape, and fill is the color of the interior of the shape. So those are 2 important functions. Once you've set those functions up, stroke and fill, you can make many shapes with the same brush. So like you've given your 5-year-old a brush, and now say, okay, draw a circle, draw another circle, draw a triangle, whatever. Do another circle. Oops. Got to spell it right. Often things go wrong in computer programming. If you haven't done any coding before, you might think that when you know how to code, you just do it all right. That's not how it works. When you know how coding works, you just jump in and get everything wrong and then solve your problems, rather than getting it all right the first time. Well, that's what happens to me anyway. I have to put little semicolons at each end of each of these lines. Not for any really good reason, it's just how we do it in JavaScript. In the JavaScript language, a line of code is always followed by, or one single command is always followed by a semicolon to finish it off. So I made a second circle over there, I'll make a third one. And those are all going to be, I might push it down a little bit. Those ones are all going to be white. A bit higher maybe. Yeah. Now, if I change the color of my paint, I guess, or my brushes at the start, I can change them all at the same time. So what if I want them all to be yellow? I forgot my, my semicolons there. And it works anyway. I guess I don't know as much about JavaScript as I thought. Now I've got 3 yellow circles. Are there any other shapes you can do? Well, sure. What about square? Rect. 100, 100. The way a rectangle works is you point out the top corner, top left corner, and then how far you want to go out and how far you want to go down. So we'll start at 100, 100, and we'll go out maybe 600, but only down 25. It's going to be a very narrow square. Maybe I want this to be a different color. So I'll just make it black, fill 0. There you go. Adding another square of a different color. Maybe making one kind of gray. If you only want to use black and white, you only have to use like one number in fill. You don't have to use 3 because it's like 255 is fully white and 0 is fully black. Anywhere in between is a shade of gray. Whoops. Make another one. It's going to be out 150, down 50, and it's going to be 20, 25 wide and 700 high. There you go. So we've made a kind of artwork now. I'm not sure if it's something that I ought to be very proud of, but I've at least been able to explain to you how some of these basic drawing tools in p5.js works. I guess you might wonder why I've got this drawer section and this setup section. And so far I haven't done anything in setup. We'll talk about that next week, but the hint here is that code that you put in the setup section happens just once at the start of your sketch, and the code in your draw section happens over and over again. So if in your drawing section you had code which is changing, maybe using a changing number over time, then you can develop an animation, and then things start to get interesting. So we'll deal with that another time. But today's goal was just to get you started making a few different kinds of shapes and colors in P5. Whoop. And I might go find my slides again. Here we are. Uh-oh. Yeah, so we did a bit of praxis, a bit of practical demos. I might at another time do a little demo of making a PA Mondrian print, trying that out, but not today because I don't want to have too long lectures. So the moral of this story is that your computer and P5 is kind of like a 5-year-old, right? You have to give it very specific and very careful instructions about what kind of art you want to make on your canvas. P5 loves to paint. It's giving you all these tools, but you have to be really, really specific. And in fact, I would say that your computer is even more obedient than a 5-year-old. Because if you tell a 5-year-old to pick up a paintbrush and then paint a line which is 1,000,000 meters long, they're not going to try doing it, right? They'll be like, well, you're just being an idiot, so I'm not playing anymore. And you could also tell a 5-year-old just to go up to a wall and draw a circle. And they'd probably just pick a place and draw the circle. But as we know now, your computer can't deal with this vagueness. If you just type in ellipse, it doesn't know where to put the ellipse, so it does nothing. In fact, we should find out what happens if we do it wrong. Oops. I'll just add another ellipse. No, it doesn't break. What about this? Are we actually in trouble? So far, it's not doing anything particularly wrong. I guess it's not actually doing stuff, but it might not be updating. We'll learn more about that next time. Anyway, if you use the wrong commands with your computer, it won't work, right? You have to use exactly the commands that are written in the P5 reference. That's why I keep telling you, go to the reference, go to the reference, go to the reference. And your computer can't figure out what you mean if you don't say it clearly. So you have to be very specific about the numbers that you're using to describe where on the grid on your screen you want these shapes to be. Now, I guess I'm going to give you a few slides of advice for whatever kind of person you are, you might find something useful here. When you're learning to code, there's a lot to learn at first, and it seems like a really hard wall to climb. I think that the goal of week 1 is to get everybody set up with the tools so that we can then take you gently through a lot of different topics. But what you should know is that if you are just starting to learn to code, this is the previous lecturer for this course used this phrase, programming is a contact sport. You need to get in there and try it to learn how to use it. And as I just said before, programmers make mistakes all the time. We're always making mistakes, we're always getting errors, and we're fixing them. So sometimes getting in there and getting started is the way to actually learn how to do something. So get in there and try, use your visual diary times to I guess, make good, do some little experiments as well as commenting on other people's works, and make sure you do all of your lab exercises. A few dangers in this course. Don't do this. That is dangerous. One danger for this course is for people who already know a lot about code. Maybe you're a computer science student. You might say, well, the code stuff is very easy in this course. See you in week 10. That's going to be very dangerous because we do learn a lot about specifically how to use code to make art, as well as just about some of the basics of coding JavaScript. You might also be someone who hasn't studied computer science before and is like, whoa, this code stuff is way too hard. I'm out, I'm dropping. Okay, this course is specifically set up to support students who have problems with learning to code, have never done it before, and we take you on a very gentle journey and give you a lot of support. And as I've said before, we've had hundreds of students taking this course, hundreds of visual arts students who have created great things and have learned the code required for this course. So you can do it, stick in there, stay in there, hang in there, stay with us, and you'll find that you're having a lot of fun. Another dangerous thing is, well, all of this arty stuff doesn't really matter. I'm just going to submit some working code and bam, HD. That doesn't work either. In this course, all of our assignments are marked kind of holistically, both looking at the sophistication of your artistic goals and how well you've accomplished them, and the sophistication of your code. So actually, for many computer science students, developing your artistic skills and practicing making art with code is really, really important. And if you don't do that, just submitting something that works is not going to be enough for an HD. So you really have to do excellent work, both artistically and from a technical perspective, in order to get those really high marks. Now, many of you might think about that you fit into a certain category. You might see some certain dangers, and I hope you see some opportunities to learn and develop as a person over this course as well. So that's something that is great to discuss on the forum or on Teams. I'm still having a look at the channel, and it seems like we have some great discussions already. Whoop. There's also a lot of opportunity right now that you've got Lab 1, you've got VS Code, and you've got Git, to actually start making your own art with P5. So go and do it, right? You can go and watch these wonderful videos by a lecturer called Dan Schiffman. I kind of wish I was as cool as Dan Schiffman. I'm trying to do my best to be exciting and engaging in these streaming lectures, but Dan Schiffman is an expert. Make sure you've done your Lab 1 content, and then go and explore the P5 website. So I explored the P5 website last night, and I came up with the little intro animation that you might have seen at the start of this lecture. So there's nothing stopping you going and starting to make your code right now if you want to, and certainly you will have a great time in the rest of this course if you build your skills early and engage with everything. A few other extra links here for those who really want to get stuck in. Links about JavaScript, debugging, using VS Code, and Unsplash. Someone mentioned it in the Teams chat. This is where there's a lot of photos in our lectures come from. So your to-do list, make sure you've done this. Set up your tools, learn the vocabulary from the reference, start your name tag assignment, and then go ahead and make something, right? You're also allowed to just use this P5 editor to make things as well. Oh, I should log capable chime. I want to see it. Why can't I see it? There we go. Start. Hey, I got my my vaporwave screen back. So this was just some code I was working on last night just to make this cool scene. I'll show you how it works in a later week if you're interested. Finally, make sure you are empowered with this course. So if you have a problem with how things are going in this course, tell us about it, talk to other students, talk to your tutors, and perhaps even think about becoming a course rep right now. So that's what I'm going to just talk about for another 2 minutes. Course reps are really important. They're the way that lecturers can kind of know what's going on within the students in a course without necessarily talking to them every day. You get to be a liaison between your peers and me, the course convener. You get to gather feedback from your classmates and tell me about it, as well as tell other academics about it. In particular, there's a role in the School of Computer Science called Associate Director of Education. And you'll get to meet with that person and talk about how this course is going. The really cool thing about being a course rep is you get to meet a lot of students and you get to have a positive impact, because things you tell us about, we change. We listen to students and we try to make our experience as good as possible, particularly now we're online. So if you have issues or you think you want to take on this role, fill in this form, which is linked to from this page, and go be a course rep. So I really hope that you take the chance, jump in and become a course rep, and I'll be looking out for responses to that form and hope to get a great team together. So that's what I mean by take control of your education. And we made it to the end of the lecture. So I'll be hanging around for another few minutes in the team if you want to ask a question. Some of you are probably headed off to other lectures. Because we're online, I just maybe talk for an extra 20 minutes every time, but feel free to tune out. Of course, the important admin part of the lecture will always be at the start. So if you can only make it to the start of the lecture, or you just want to know what do I need to do this week, go to the start of the lecture and choose that, tune in for that admin stuff. You can feel free to catch up on Praxis stuff on the streaming platforms afterwards. So I'll be on the chat. Feel free to get in touch, and I'll catch you all maybe a little bit on Friday to see Tony's lecture. Otherwise next Wednesday. See you later.